Hey everybody, welcome to Did You Hear About This? I'm Bill.
I'm Scott.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Tell me about your week.
Okay. I mean, not a great week. I mentioned a few weeks back, maybe a couple months ago, that the basement backed up with sewage. Well, that was a warning shot because I had the grand finale on Thursday.
Oh, man.
I got the call at work from the wife saying that, hey, I came home for lunch and the basement's full of shit.
Shitter's full.
Shitter was full!
So we called the plumber. Plumber came out. First, it was going to be $615. Well, that fix didn't work. So then it became $871. And now it's working. There's no more shit in the basement. I was dressed up like a hazmat guy, like capturing ET, scrubbing down the basement with bleach and everything else. But
Ugh.
yeah, not fun. But we're on the other side of that now, so I'm doing well.
We had something like that happen at the office at work.
Ugh.
Yeah, there was a shit pipe under the building.
Yeah.
And it bubbled up like a pimple on the carpet. And we're all seeing this going, this stinks. Everybody go home.
Ugh.
Yeah, and they had to rip the entire floor open and fix the problem.
So the other part of this is they're sending out like a camera crew on Monday to run a camera down the pipe to see if it truly was just like a clog because my kids use too much shit paper. Or maybe the pipe is cracked and maybe they have to jackhammer my basement or backhoe my front yard. At which time homeowners insurance will be brought in to help pay for this, but hopefully it doesn't come to that.
Your house is getting a colonoscopy.
Basically, yes.
Man, owning a home is not fun. When we were young, like that was my dream. I can't wait to have my own house.
Yeah, it's one thing after the other, that's for sure.
Or whatever you buy your house for, let's say it's a $150,000 house, add another $100,000 to it. Like you're going to be spending money on a roof, on a water system, a water heater. Like everything goes eventually.
Yeah, over the course of that 30-year mortgage, you're going to be putting in about that much money in repairs and upkeep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I guess equity's good. I don't know.
Only if you're looking to sell the house.
Shut up, Bill. That's what I'm telling myself, all right?
Okay, all right. Well, any good news? You've been watching anything good?
Still watching Skeleton Crew.
Oh, you're one of the ones still hanging in, huh?
What are people saying? I'm not paying attention or following what people are saying online. No good?
No, I'm reading it's getting good reviews, but it's just not hitting the mark again. Like once again, it's not hitting.
Well, what's the thermometer? What's the barometer they're using to measure this? What's the measuring stick? If it's getting good reviews, it's just not getting watch numbers, download numbers?
That's what I hear. But then again, these streaming companies, they don't give you the numbers.
Exactly.
So I don't know how they're assuming this.
That's Disney's problem. As a fan, if I'm getting a good show I'm happy with and I'm continuing to watch, and it's getting good reviews, I'm happy. I don't care what their numbers are.
Yeah. The few reviews I saw from critics, I watch a bunch of critics online, and they're like, yeah, the show's decent. It's getting good Rotten Tomatoes scores, but nobody's tuning in. They're just not interested in kids in the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
So I don't know who their audience is. I've told you I've left Star Wars, Disney Star Wars. It's just not for me. Who's it for? Maybe they're still not sure.
Could be. I actually have a fuck-uppery from last week. I told you that they didn't do a very good job introducing the characters in the Skeleton Crew show. And to further drive that point home, I mentioned the elephant kid's name was Hank. It's not. It's Neil.
Neil the elephant kid.
It's Neel. So maybe that's alien, but it sounds just like Neil or Niel, however you spell Neil. Neal, maybe, whatever. But still a dorky white guy name.
For sure.
No offense to Neils out there listening.
Yeah, we just lost our Neils.
Damn, they're with the Neil demographic.
We're going to see that hit in our analytics.
Well, you're being proudly represented by an elephant alien kid on Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. Well, I sometimes talk about my business partner. He's really into the Star Wars stuff. He's watching it. He's like, I'm not sure what I think of it yet, but it had an incredible start. I was like, whoa, this is amazing Star Wars. And then all of a sudden, cut to a bunch of kids in the suburban neighborhood. And he's like, I don't know where we're going to go next. Like, it felt like two completely different things.
Yeah, it started off with like this big alien pirate heist. Like they shanghaied this ship. They came right up the side of it and they boarded the ship and they robbed it blind. Or they would have if there was any money on it. And then we cut away to these kids on this forgotten planet.
I like that Jaleel White, Urkel, is one of the pirates.
Yeah, he hasn't done much yet.
Is he in a costume where you can't see his
He
face?
has like a googly eye.
Does he have one in real life?
No, he has like a cyborg eye.
Okay.
Yeah, not in real life. I don't mean he has a lazy eye, Bill. There goes the lazy eye demographic. God damn it.
Yeah, we're losing everybody today.
Dropping like flies. No, he has a cyborg robotic eye type thing.
I got it. All right. Like the Harry Potter. There was a Harry Potter guy that had the crazy
Mad Eye
eye.
Moody, almost identical to Mad Eye Moody.
Look at me knowing something from Harry Potter.
I was going to reference that, and I was like, that's going to go nowhere. And you bring it up. Look at you go.
I've never seen all the Harry Potters. I watched a couple with my kid, but I missed that phenomenon.
You watch the porno equivalent, Harry Twatter.
Whoa! How'd you know? Another reason to play the Debbie Does Dallas soundtrack. I love it. So I watched something I've never seen before. I'm curious if you've seen this.
Okay.
Mac and Me from like 1988, I think it was.
I've seen Mac and Me, yeah.
You have? It was filmed in, I'm sure it was filmed in like early 80s because it looks older. But I looked at the date of the release of this thing. It was like 1988. But it's an E.T. ripoff completely.
You know, I remember it as an E.T. ripoff. But then as I watched it again, I thought, this isn't even close to E.T. Like, E.T. was good.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the worst. This is like it's a B-movie extravaganza.
Yeah, it's like a Temu version of E.T.
I mean, it makes Nuki look like an Academy Award winner.
Yeah, it really does. I forgot about Nuki. Holy shit.
There was trivia at the end because this thing is an E.T. ripoff. It's just
Sure.
completely an E.T. ripoff.
Yeah, but E.T. didn't have kids getting shot.
No, that's what's insane about this thing. I couldn't believe what they were getting away with in this.
Yeah.
You would look at it and you're like, oh, this is going to be a cute, story about an alien and a kid. And the kid is in a wheelchair, right? He's a handicapped kid. I've never seen a movie abuse a handicapped kid like this before.
Yeah.
Right? There's a scene. Now I remember talking about this with you because Paul Rudd used to take the scene of the kid's runaway wheelchair. He at some point it takes off
Through like telekinesis or through whatever. Like the wheelchair just gets a mind of its own and just wheels him off of a cliff.
off a cliff. I mean,
And he drops like into a quarry. It looks like it has to be like 30 feet.
yes. And he splashes in the water and he can't swim and, he gets rescued. Later on, he's in a runaway wheelchair again on a highway.
Yes.
And he almost gets railed by a tractor trailer. Like he misses the tractor trailer by a hair.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. The movie's been out long enough. The damn kid gets killed.
Yeah.
He gets killed and revived by the aliens. But it's like, this isn't a kid's movie. You can't abuse a kid this bad and call this a kid's movie.
But you're forgetting some important parts. There is the breakdown into a dance scene, like long before this flash mobs. It's like a flash mob at a McDonald's birthday party.
Yeah.
Where the real deal Ronald McDonald showed up.
He's really there. Yeah, he's dancing with everybody. All of a sudden, there's a dance number.
And not just inside the restaurant. They actually go out. They're in the parking lot.
Yep.
There's kids doing skateboard tricks, I think.
Yep.
It's a whole like late 80s, early 90s fiasco going on there. And then at the very end of the movie, the whole resolution to it all, the alien family of four just take a naturalization citizenship test and become American citizens.
Right. Nobody seems to notice or care.
Nobody cares.
It was so freaking weird. Evidently, that dance scene. All right. Well, the product placement in this is over the top.
Sure.
I mean, basically, the alien needs Coca-Cola to survive.
Yes.
Right? Because just like how E.T. was dying throughout the mid-end of the movie, this thing starts dying, and so does its parents. And
I have to say, E.T. did a pretty damn good job of product placement, too, with Reese's Pieces.
well, they had Skittles.
They had Skittles, I know. They were tasting the rainbow.
Oh, God. And the fuss they were making about McDonald's. I said to Amy at one point, I go, we're going to have a scene at McDonald's. You're gonna just watch.
You knew it was coming.
And not only was it a scene, but it was like a complete dance number. Evidently, I was looking at the trivia on IMDb, and Jennifer Aniston is one of the people just kind of dancing around. Nikki Cox, I don't know if you remember that name.
Yeah.
Like before they were famous, they were just extras in this thing. But
they were both in Mac and Me?
yeah,
I don't think I knew that.
in that dance scene. You'd have to
Wow.
really look hard to find them.
And pause.
Yeah, I didn't even do that. I found that out after I watched the movie. But that was filmed in a McDonald's that was a McDonald's in LA, in City of Industry, California. And it wasn't a real McDonald's. It was where they filmed all their McDonald's commercials.
They never did them at real restaurants?
Not that dance thing. And
That's funny.
and evidently not the commercials that so every time we saw a McDonald's commercial, it was probably filmed in that Mac and Me set.
Dude, only LA would have like a soundstage McDonald's. Like they couldn't do it at a real McDonald's.
Right.
Wow.
Oh my God. It was an amazing movie. Just
So you were saying about Steven Spielberg on IMDb. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh yeah, he said evidently somebody went to him and said, "Well, what do you think about this Mac and me? I mean, it's completely ripping you off." And he goes, "Well, I'm paraphrasing. I could sue, but that would mean other people would have to watch this thing." What a great line.
Yeah, that's ooh, man, that might be worse than the lawsuit. That's just like such a slap in the face.
Mac and me. And then the greatest part of this is at the end, the aliens are leaving. It's like a happy scene. They're driving down the road. They just got
in their like Clark Griswold station wagon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's a big bubble that says, "We'll be back."
Yes, they did like an Avengers thing.
Right, like a Back to the Future. To be continued. Nobody wanted this movie to make a sequel, and it never did. So
Iron Man will return in Iron Man 2.
Mac will be back. No, he won't.
Nope, not a chance.
If you have not seen Mac and Me, I avoided it because I just thought it was a dumb kid's movie. I knew it was like E.T. inspired. And I was like, I don't need to see it. But I didn't realize it was going to be this bad.
How did this come on your radar how did this come on your television, I guess is a better question. What drove you to this movie?
My wife, she found it through some social media thing. I think they just had a clip of the wheelchair going off the cliff. And she's like, what is this?
Paul Rudd.
She goes, I'm going to show this to Bill. And I was like, I've never seen this. Let's sit down and watch it.
I love how people watch shit movies and they're like, oh, I'm gonna show Bill and Scott. Like, they'll love it.
What have we done?
What have we done to ourselves?
We want to see good movies, not shit. No, we want to see shit movies.
Yeah. This really was so bad it's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's up there with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it really is.
Which I'm sure the phones are listening to us now, and so are the Rokus, because the other day I'm turning it on, the Roku, and there's Thanksgiving 3. I'm like, oh, of all the movies
really
to put there is something I would like. It's the number one recommended movie.
They got you again.
They got me again. I was like, I'm going to click it. Nope, gonna wait. One day I will watch this with Scott.
Not only are the phones and the Rokus listening to us, now we have mysterious drones flying up above us in the sky here in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So maybe they're just tapping in too.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Nobody does. I'm convinced, though, every kid with a drone is out there right now flying them to keep everyone excited.
I don't know. I saw these last night. These are not like toy drones. Like the one I saw was like the size of a small car. They're huge drones.
You saw a drone the size of a small car?
Yeah, 4 of them last night.
Well, that's really interesting. I didn't know they were that big.
Oh, they're huge.
I know people have been looking at them and they're turning out to be planes. There's a lot of people like, oh, that drone is huge. And they're like, well, it's an airplane, dude.
Well, at first it looks like an airplane, but it's not an airplane.
I wonder who's like Amazon closed that delivery program. Their drones were awfully big.
They shut that down?
The last I read, they did. But we're in an area where Amazon has a
headquarters.
Fulfillment center.
Yes, warehouse.
Yeah, you might be seeing them testing it.
I thought they're probably taking off from the Reading Airport. My sister-in-law's down in Royersford. She saw them above her house. I was like, well, maybe they're taking off from these regional airports to see what their distance and what their range is.
Yeah.
But who the hell knows?
I mean, the local
conspiracies are out there, though.
Oh, yeah. They're everywhere. The Iran ship on the side of the New Jersey shore that's launching them, like, who knows?
Yeah.
And then the Pentagon's like, that's not true. It's not true at all.
I didn't even hear about that till you told me.
Yeah. And the local government's like, hey, federal government, do something about this. Figure this out. And they're like, we don't know anything about it. Like, it really is kind of a scary time that if this is some sort of invasion of another country trying to spy on us, our government's completely like, either they know something and aren't telling us, or they don't actually know anything.
What if it's just our own surveillance testing it out on our people to see what they can do over top of other countries?
I mean, we fly drones over Syria.
It's a defense thing all the time.
I just read an article about one of our drones getting shot down.
Sure.
By friendly fire. So, yeah, who knows? We had those balloons. Remember those weather balloons from China?
Yeah.
They were flying around. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I could totally believe somebody's spying on us.
Sure.
I don't know that I think they're aliens. That's how, when this whole thing started earlier in the week, it's alien invasion. Look up, it's aliens. And then they're like, okay, maybe it's not aliens. It's a drone.
Alien technology is a lot more advanced than drones.
But drones that are the size of cars.
They're big.
That I didn't hear.
It's at least the size of the sofa, Bill.
What?
I'm telling you, they're
Holy
huge.
Shit. Sofa's as big as the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
It is.
See that thing flying around. That would be pretty fun.
That would be the quad jet from the Avengers. That would be that new toy.
That'd be great. I want to look up and see that. I haven't seen a damn drone anywhere, but then again, I don't leave the house very often.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I'm convinced that every kid with a drone right now is like, yo, I'm going to add to this hysteria and just go fly my drone.
Yeah.
A lot of people own drones.
Sure.
But I don't think
I
they own.
don't think they're going to convince people that they're part of the mystery.
Well, if you're saying the ones that everyone's inquiring about are car-sized, yeah, I don't think most kids own car-sized drones. I know a lot of people who own drones, especially being in the photography world. There's a lot of people that own drones that do aerial photography.
Sure.
So I don't own a drone. I bought one for my kid a long time ago when they were first coming out.
Yeah.
They're annoying.
Chase has one. It's like a little small one. That's like an indoor one, though.
Does it control well?
No. Terrible.
Did the better ones, the ones the size of cars, did they fly better?
They have more weight and they take more power, so the wind doesn't affect them as much as the one we have. I remember I took it outside for the first time, and like a gust came and it just went whoop. And I was like, oh, I have to climb over a fence to get that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have that with a hardcore drone, like a heavy-duty drone.
Yeah, this was a thread you and me and brother Dan had going yesterday, and Dan goes, oh, apparently you can't shoot them down. Well, yeah, no, Dan, that you probably shouldn't because you might miss, and that bullet's got to come down somewhere.
Somebody in New Jersey did try to shoot it down, though.
Really?
Yeah. He did not do well.
Did he make contact and it didn't come down, or did he miss every shot?
I'm guessing he missed every shot.
He's not a skeet shooter, huh?
No.
Well, we'll see. I don't jump to conclusions. I need more information, but yeah, something's happening.
I would feel that if the federal government viewed this as a threat, whether they knew about it or not, they would act on it. And the fact that they're not acting on it makes me feel that they know and they're just not telling us.
Could be. I mean, not to get political, we're not a political show, but this administration right now seems to be so untrusted by so many people that I think that's adding to a little bit of the noise on the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Pentagon's like, we don't know anything about, what's going on here. That's kind of scary. And it's almost hard to believe because you trust the government to keep you safe and to know about this stuff when they're like, oh, we don't know. It's like, please be lying.
But the fact that they wouldn't know would lead me to believe that they would get involved and jump in front of it. And they've been known to shoot first and ask questions later before, so.
I just see things sometimes like Congress and things where they're questioning social, like there's a great one where Congress was questioning Zuckerberg from Facebook. And you could tell Congress couldn't understand a single thing he was talking about. They were just so old and out of touch with what's going on.
Well, the median age is 72.
Is that right?
I mean, I'm
It
guessing.
might be. I was just like, you guys are asking Zuckerberg the wrong questions, but you don't know the right questions to ask. I happen to know because I work in that industry, but yeah, it's crazy.
What else is going on? What do we got on our agenda here this week?
You don't want to talk about drones anymore. We're kind of droned out.
Yeah, speaking of drones.
Well, I got a couple news stories, but you've brought.
I do have a main topic for today, yes.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Nikola Tesla, a man ahead of his time.
I don't know much about Tesla.
No?
Yeah, I know he was in that band Tesla.
No, he was not in the band Tesla.
Oh, then I don't know anything about Tesla.
No. Are we getting right into the main topic right here?
We can do it. I don't have any mailbag. I don't have any fuck-upperies.
Yeah, I dropped the one fuck-uppery I had. So I was originally going to talk about Nikola Tesla and his connection to the Great Pyramids, but...
Wait, I didn't even know there was a connection here.
That's a future story. So I was going to write that story about Tesla and the pyramids, and when I started putting pen to paper and doing the history of it and the biography of Tesla, it was a story in and of itself. So that's where I actually stopped. So do you know anything about Tesla at all? I mean, and besides the fact that he wasn't in the band Tesla in 1989?
To be honest, I was such a bad student as a kid that when we learned about him, I didn't even retain it. I know he's got something to do with electricity.
Well, and to be honest, they may not have even taught him in your school. Like, he is, for the most part, forgotten to the ages. But his contributions towards science, we could have had a whole different existence and future had we gone his way rather than the other way. So I'm going to get into a little bit about that.
All right.
So when I say the name Tesla, many of our younger listeners may think I'm talking about the world's most successful electric car or the monstrosity that is the Cybertruck. But in reality, I'm referring to the 19th century Serbian-American engineer, inventor, and futurist Nikola Tesla. And he was a genius. And he was also an eccentric nut job, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. He was born in 1856 in Croatia. So he was Serbian, as I said. And he began studying engineering and physics in 1870 while still in Croatia, but he never received his degree. He actually dropped out because he wanted to get hands-on experience, and he started working for Continental Edison, which was a French manufacturer of electrical equipment, which was founded in 1882 by Thomas Edison. That's where it got its name. More on him later. So Tesla moved to the United States 4 years later, and he actually became a naturalized citizen, much like the parents and family of Mac and me.
Right.
Unlike Mac and me, there was more to come. He settled in New York City, where he actually worked for another Edison company, Edison Machine Works, which was a manufacturer of more electrical components, also founded by Thomas Edison. Again, more on him later. Tesla soon left Edison Machine, and he really started setting out on his own. Got his own laboratory, and actually was pretty successful. He started filing patents and things for AC induction motors, and these patents made him considerably wealthy for the time. So while continuing to experiment with AC power, Tesla actually accidentally made some significant discoveries and achievements with electric generators and early X-ray imaging technology. Like, he just happened to cross it, never even intended to. This guy was like an accidental genius. His brain just kept working and working and working.
That's apparently how it works for a lot of geniuses. They accidentally discover things.
Yeah.
Trying to discover other things.
Sure. So he dreamed of a world where we would be wireless. All lighting would be wireless, worldwide electric power without any wires having to be run. Which is a stark contrast to what we have now, where everything's plugged in, every lamp has a wire. You would just have a light bulb and it would light. This was his dream. And he actually achieved this on a much smaller scale by creating the Tesla coil. Best way I can describe a Tesla coil, first thing I think of is Frankenstein, where in the laboratory they have like the big ball of electric that like shoots out lightning bolts and things. That's basically what a Tesla coil is.
So from Goonies, that ball, and they were touching the ball and it was following their hands.
Yeah, kind of. A little bit different than that, but kind of along the same lines. Yes, exactly right. And he actually set this up and provided demonstrations. He showed investors and celebrities and others in the scientific community because he was really trying to get people on board with this idea and this dream of his. Fun fact, one of the original Tesla coils that he exhibited was in 1893 at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, and it's actually still there, and it still works.
Okay, so that was the reference I was thinking of when I said Goonies, but I'm like, nobody's going to know anything about the Franklin Institute. I played with that thing as a kid.
That's one of the original Tesla coils.
No shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, in continuing with his research and things like that, he actually proclaimed that it's going to be possible to communicate wirelessly using his electronic devices. So he was like, again, ideas way ahead of his time. Nobody would have ever thought about this. So he had all these fantastic dreams and visions and actually made it work on a small scale, showed people on stage shows, in his laboratories, in museums, as we just said here. So what went wrong? Well, the popularity and promise of Tesla's AC system made him a financial threat and enemy to Thomas Edison, his former boss. Thomas Edison's whole thing at the time was DC. So, without getting too nerdy to get into it, AC, as I've been throwing around here, means alternating current. DC means direct current. AC/DC is an Australian rock band from the 1970s. So DC is, as I said before, what we know. Everything is plugged into an outlet. Outlets are then wired into a main grid, and consumers are basically billed based on what their usage is. Part of the problem that Tesla ran into was that his vision of worldwide wireless electric was that there'd be no way to bill the consumer. So investors couldn't see an ROI on why we should back this guy. If we back Edison in DC, we're going to be able to just like run it through a meter, charge what they're using. Tesla's thing was a lot more socialist based almost, where it was just like a utility out there for the people to use. So it was going to be impossible to get any kind of billing of those people, unless you charge like a flat rate for owning a home or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Capitalism strikes again.
AC is basically what could have been. No outlets. If your device is within a field of a Tesla coil, it would basically just work. It would just you could charge a phone just by having your phone inside of the field of a Tesla coil.
So we have that technology to some degree, right? Because we have phones that we can put on charging trays and it's passing electricity through the...
Yeah, but then the charging tray is plugged into the wall and
that's
getting...
true.
So we do have a combination of AC, DC, but if Tesla would have basically won this war of the currents, there wouldn't be outlets in homes. It would just be, maybe you'd have a small Tesla coil in the corner of your living room. That was the small scale thing. Big scale, he was actually talking about wiring the Tesla coil into the foundation of the earth and then have it like go through the current of the earth. It was insane, some of these ideas that he had that just never came to be. Because next up came that war of the currents. Tesla was a showman. His exhibitions and demonstrations really showcased what his inventions could do and what he believed was possible through continued experiments and research. He was always looking for investors. As I mentioned at the top of the show, he was an eccentric. He was not bothered by things such as bills and rent, and he just didn't bother himself. So he racked up some serious debt and debtors, but he was just like operating on a level where like shit like that was trivial. You know, people talk about Einstein, how Einstein didn't like zipper up his fly or brush his hair because he didn't, you know, he was more important things going on in his head that he didn't bother with those trivial things. Tesla was very much along those same lines when it came to, I guess, paying bills.
That seems to be a thing that a lot of smart people try to adopt. Like Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs, they would always wear the same shirts.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to use their brain power to have to pick out their, they wanted to save their brain power for something else than picking out their outfit for the day. So this is kind of where it comes from, this kind of thinking.
Yeah.
I like that Einstein did zip up his fly. What's this about?
That's what they say. He'd be canceled these days. Edison, on the other hand, rather than like promoting what his DC electric system was doing, he more or less took the stance of vilifying AC power and actually went as far as to vilify Tesla. He got pretty theatrical too. In one of his demonstrations, he actually electrocuted a live circus elephant named Topsy, according to Bob's Burgers.
Oh.
And he used AC power to basically execute this live elephant in front of a crowd of people to show just how dangerous AC current was.
According to Bob's Burgers? What?
No, Bob's Burgers did an episode. I don't know if the elephant's name was really Topsy, but they wrote a song saying, they cried autopsy at my autopsy.
Oh, isn't that clever?
So I don't know if Topsy really was the elephant's name. I couldn't find anything in my research to verify that, but the fact that he did execute and electrocute a live circus elephant in front of a crowd of people is 100% accurate.
Maybe its name was Neil.
Maybe. I forgot about that. Yeah, good connection. In vilifying Tesla, he kind of used, Thomas Edison. That's a fine English gentleman's name. Nikola Tesla, that's the name of a foreigner. You can't trust that guy. So there was a little bit of, outsider racism and things like that going on in there. So rather than take the high road and show what he could do, he basically showed what the other guy couldn't do or how bad the other guy was or why you shouldn't trust the other guy.
Yeah. Frying an elephant. That's a big statement.
Yeah. So we all know how the current war ended. Edison won and became a legend. But what happened to Tesla? Well, as a result of his financial problems and another failed battle against Guglielmo Giovanni Marconi, the father of the radio,
right,
Tesla had what we would today call a nervous breakdown or a mental break. His financial woes worsened as he lost properties to foreclosure, and investors basically lost faith in Tesla's ideas and experiments, so he became financially broke. His mental health and his grasp on reality also seemed to worsen as things went on. At age 77, Tesla claimed to have invented a motor that would run on, quote, cosmic rays.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This guy could have been writing Marvel comics.
Well, he also claimed to be on the verge of producing a whole new form of energy, and that this energy opposed everything we know about Einstein's laws of physics.
Huh.
Yeah. He also claimed to have invented a super weapon that would end all wars, which he called the Teleforce. It was also referred to as a death ray. And the ray allegedly could have been used at a distance of 250 miles. He, of course, tried to sell this to the Defense Department of the United States for $2 million, which would have been the equivalent then of about $44 million today.
Man, that's a scary thought. But then again, we have nuclear bombs now. You know, they were supposed to be the war ender too. Now everybody's got them.
Well, I mean, were these claims the rants of a madman? Maybe. But in 1984, plans for the creation of a death ray were actually found in the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, Serbia. So he never actually built one, although he claimed to have not just had a theory on how to do it. He says, oh no, I built one and I've used it. But this was when he was like right before death.
Yeah, so was he telling the truth? Or was he cuckoo-cachoo?
I don't know, because it should also be said that Tesla also fell in love with a pigeon and professed to, quote, love her as a man loves a woman in his journal. So he was a little out there, but it seems as though he was kind of dancing on both sides of genius and insanity.
This guy is fascinating. I never knew anything about this.
Yeah.
Fell in love with a pigeon?
Fell in love with a pigeon.
Did you see the pigeon? Was she cute?
He said in the journal that the pigeon was unlike other pigeons. He said he probably fed over tens of thousands of pigeons in his lifetime. He was actually evicted from apartments, not only for not paying the rent, but the amount of bird shit that would build up because of him feeding these pigeons. Like, neighbors were like, fucking Tesla, these pigeons.
Hey, settle down. We're just having an orgy.
But he said this particular pigeon had like white tips on its wings. It was unlike any other pigeon he ever saw. He was madly in love with this pigeon. It was injured. He apparently spent $2,000 of money at that time, which would equate to be like probably 5 figures nowadays, to heal the pigeon back to health.
That's insane.
He died while living at the New Yorker Hotel, and they actually have a plaque on the wall that says it's the Nikola Tesla room where Nikola Tesla passed away.
Oh, weird stuff happened in that room.
I'm telling you. Weird bird stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not talking emus. Crikey!
That's incredible. Sometimes I think about stuff like this where if he got his way and if what he was espousing that he created actually became the way it is, like our whole life would be different. You said that at the top of this segment. I've heard rumors my whole life, like somebody invented the car tire that can't be worn, but Goodyear bought the patent so that it would never be released.
They wanted planned obsolescence so they can sell more tires.
I kind of believe there's reality. There could be some truth to this.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense.
Again, the greed of Goodyear in that example, the greed of Thomas Edison and General Electric and all those companies that we can bill for electricity. You know, like this isn't just for everyone to use. You know, the altruistic view that Tesla had for this invention that would be for the betterment of mankind couldn't be made profitable. So it went by the wayside. But in many ways, as much as Edison wanted to say that AC was more dangerous, there are stories out there that I was reading while doing research for this that DC is actually much more dangerous than what AC would have been. And like the dangers of AC were like completely exacerbated just to prove the point that you should go with me instead of going with him.
Yeah, well, that's how capitalism works. It's completely how it works. It's when capitalism goes wild. That kind of stuff happens.
But when you hear about stuff like this, I know we live in a capitalist society and capitalism runs everything and keeps the markets in check and everything, but what are we missing out on? Like, what could have been better? You know, one of his stage show things, I mentioned the stage shows he would do to demonstrate this. We have a Tesla coil on stage, and he would just take a light bulb and bring the light bulb into the field, and the light bulb would just light up. Like the lamp that's sitting next to you right there, I see the wire plugged into the wall. How many times would you like to plug something in, or a television? You like to have a television on that wall, but there's no electricity on that wall. If that television was just inside the field of everything else, you can carry it across the room if you want to. We work everywhere you go.
There is a thing I wanted to buy. It was one of these dopey social media ads, and it's a light bulb that floats above a little base.
I've seen this.
And it lights up. That's the first thing I thought about when you started talking about this Tesla story. If that's what it is, if it's related to AC, is it possible that other stores can start just create, or other, manufacturers can start taking this concept and just start building their own stuff? Why aren't we seeing this?
I don't know.
I mean, there's no government saying you're not allowed to do that.
One thing I was running into a lot while doing the research for this about Edison, he had a lot of no-compete clauses and a lot of agreements and contracts with manufacturers and providers and things like that. See, the other thing that happened that made Tesla fall wasn't just that current battle, but he was backed financially by the Westinghouse Electric Company. And Westinghouse had a huge financial downfall when the European stock market collapsed. The banking system, rather, not the stock market. The European banking system had a collapse, and they basically called in all the loans for Westinghouse. So Westinghouse went from having a lot of upfront money to back Tesla to having to pay it all back to the bank. And then they were like they were basically cash starved. So, a lot of battles have been lost because of the one side not having enough money to continue fighting.
Yeah, completely. Oh, that's crazy. Somebody needs to pick up the mantle here and continue Tesla's work.
I think about what it would be like, and it would be a lot more like the 1950s idea of the future. I think that's what the Tesla world would have been.
You think it would have been the Jetsons?
Not flying cars, but yeah, more like that sci-fi ray gun kind of futuristic view that the 50s projected.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I have a silly idea about, wouldn't it be funny to have a movie where aliens came, right? They all have their laser guns, and they see us shooting bullets, and are like, what are you doing with these bullets? Like, haven't you guys invented lasers yet? It's so easy to do lasers, and we just haven't figured it out. We went a totally different way and used gunpowder and bullets and never got to lasers because we just went down a different path of thinking in our evolution.
And honestly, his death ray, or his death gun, what do you call it? Death ray? It did use like magnesium and tungsten that it basically melted and put into like a hyper form that could be shot across, like I said, 250 miles.
That's awesome.
It's insane. Was it real?
Oh.
Maybe they went ahead and did develop it.
Yeah.
We would never know.
I have this memory from college. I don't even know if this is real, but we used to, when I went to Penn State, there was a building across from us. We were at a thing called Gateway, right? I don't know if anybody knows Penn State, but it's right as you come into Penn State. And it's just buildings that would face each other.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my roommates would like to take a laser pen and point it at people. And eventually we'd see them like smack their arm, like, what's that, a bug? And then we went and made friends with the guy across the building. We said, hey, we've been hitting you with this laser pen. You do it to us, okay? We want to see if we can feel it from across the room. The kid zapped my roommate, and my roommate jumped. He swears that he felt the laser pen burning his ass. He actually had his bare ass out. He's like, shoot me right in the bare ass across a parking lot. And he swears he felt it.
Really?
It can't be true, right? Nobody's ever said that.
Like a somatic.
It's like a somatic,
to me. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe maybe somebody has invented the death ray.
It's possible.
Well, that's a cool story.
He also claimed that he created, through his experiments, like earthquakes in downtown Manhattan when he was working out of Manhattan. And he was like, oh, yeah, I created an earthquake, and it affected this building here and the building across the street. And yeah. So he could have been a psychopath. I have no idea. But he definitely had mental health issues.
Sometimes the craziest people have certain talents.
Yeah.
That are unmatched, that nobody else can ever achieve.
But he was discredited by the legend of Edison.
Yeah.
So nobody in the scientific community, nobody was going to financially back him. We could be better off as a society if we would have maybe went with him. Maybe not. Maybe we were following the Pied Piper of insanity, but maybe it would have been a whole different outcome.
We could all be following his lead and dating birds.
Well, that's all I got on Tesla. More to come, though. I do want to get into that pyramid story, but I need to lay some foundation before I got into that.
Well, this answers the question. Did you hear about this? Nope.
Nope.
You want to get into the news?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I got a few stories here. There is a new show on Prime Video. I think I remember you saying you don't watch a ton of Prime Video.
I don't know.
So Prime is getting known for The Boys, Fallout. They're doing some good stuff. This is called Secret Level. Have you heard about Secret Level?
I saw an advertisement about it. It's different video game genres in the same show.
It's different video games, and every episode, there's 15 episodes. I don't even think they've all dropped yet, but each episode is a self-contained new story in a video game world. So this thing is made by Tim Miller. He made the first Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
He's a special effects guy who got a director role in Deadpool, but he's really a special effects guy. He makes crazy special effects for...
And Deadpool was his first one.
I don't know that it was his first special effects role, but it was definitely his first directing role.
That's what I mean.
Pretty
his first
sure.
director, yeah.
So after that, he did a couple other things. I think he did the Terminator Dark Fate movie. I think that bombed, but I think he either directed that or did the special effects or both.
Okay.
So he's got a name out there. I mean, maybe his stuff isn't working that well, but he's got a name. And he made a show on Netflix, I believe, called Love, Death, and Robots.
I've heard of that too. I never watched it though.
This is like that. So it's really interesting animation. It's really dark stuff. So he took that idea and put it into this show. So you got episodes like Mega Man in this really dark world. You got Dungeons and Dragons in this really dark world. I just watched Pac-Man this morning. It's dark, gruesome, ugly, and just, what the fuck am I watching?
But one episode does not at all connect with the next. They're all standalone episodes that have no impact on the following.
Yeah, seems that way.
Okay, because when I saw, I think, a preview or a trailer or something or the other, I was trying to figure out how these animation styles went together. And
So far, yeah, no, not really. I mean, they look like they're, at least the ones that I've seen so far, they look like they're from the same animation studio where Love, Death, and Robots, like everything looked completely different from the other.
Yeah.
Here, I'll read this to you real quick. Prime Video's adult animated anthology series, Secret Level, created by Deadpool director Tim Miller, explores 15 gaming franchises, including Pac-Man, Dungeons & Dragons, and New World. There were a couple others. What's New World? There was one there called Unreal Tournament. I don't know if you remember that.
Unreal Tournament, yeah.
But most of the others, I never even heard of.
Most of the games we play today were based on the Unreal Tournament engine. Like Halo is based on Unreal Tournament engine. I think Fortnite's based on Unreal.
But yeah, I didn't really know the other games. So despite its intriguing premise, the series is criticized for uninspired storytelling and feeling more like game trailers than fully realized narratives. The episodes, ranging from 7 to 17 minutes, often lack depth and originality. And that's just from watching the Pac-Man one and the Dungeons & Dragons one. Yeah, they're just weird little short stories that don't have a real purpose.
So is it good or is it not good? Should I watch it or shouldn't I?
I don't know. I mean, this review that I'm reading here, they said
I'd
don't.
say no. Are you going back for more?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Only because I didn't know the other games.
Oh, I see. So you think you were sold on nostalgia just because you knew the subject matter?
Yeah, I was completely sold on nostalgia.
All right.
I kind of want you to see it. Go see the Pac-Man one.
Okay.
And tell me if you thought it was an intriguing take on Pac-Man or just absolute dog shit.
I thought this was going to be another version with different video games of Captain Ness, the Game Master.
Oh, I remember you talking about that.
With Donkey Kong and King Hippo and Mother Brain and...
No, I don't really know what the point of this whole thing
Belmont. Is. No, okay. All right.
No.
I'll check it out. I'll report back on the Pac-Man episode. Or maybe more if I get sucked in. Who knows?
I'd like to know if you like it. The animation was great.
Yeah.
There's another thing on Netflix now. I think it's been out for a little bit, and they just keep dropping seasons. It's called Arcane. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
It's a League of Legends show. League of Legends is another game that I don't know anything about.
I don't know much about that. That's why it never really talked to me.
I'll tell you, this Arcane thing is probably one of the coolest cartoons I've ever seen. Spider-Verse, as good as that is, I think Arcane is better.
Okay.
Give that a couple episodes and see if you're an animation fan.
I am. Most of what I watch is animated, to be honest with you.
All right, well, let me tell you about another thing that just came out. This one, we talk about stories that are related to pop culture, but we don't usually talk about products. Products are part of pop culture, right?
Sure.
The pet rock, that's pop culture. Rubik's Cube. Well, what about the Pit Diaper? What do you think the
Pit Diaper?
What do you think the Pit Diaper is?
I couldn't begin to guess.
I still don't know if this is real, but it's certainly being sold as it's real.
Is this like a skibbity toilet thing?
What's a skibbity toilet?
It's a meme. Go ahead.
Okay.
Forget I even went there.
Yeah, maybe you could put this together in a way that I couldn't figure out.
Pit Diaper.
The Pit Diaper.
Is this somebody that goes in like a mosh pit and wears a diaper so they don't shit themselves?
You fucking got it.
Really?
Not shit themselves, but piss themselves.
Wow.
All right, so this is put out. You can actually go to Liquid Death, the water.
Liquid Death, yes. The very intense, hardcore looking, looks like an IPA can, doesn't look good drinking it while walking across a drug and alcohol treatment facility.
Right.
Yeah, I know it well.
But it's just water.
It's just water.
Good water, but water. So they're putting this thing out. It's the Pit Diaper. It's for people who want to go to metal concerts and enjoy themselves so much in the pit, but because they drink a lot of, beer, but they say liquid death.
Liquid death, yeah.
You basically wear a diaper in the pit. And it's got these little Depends pads that you put in. Like it looks like a metalhead's loincloth from like the 80s hair metal days.
Wait, you wear this on the outside?
You wear the diaper and inside are the pads.
Oh, okay.
So you can keep pissing yourself while you're at shows. You don't have to worry about So there's a guy, Richard Christie from the Howard Stern Show.
I know him.
Years ago, he talked about how he would go to shows because he's a big metalhead and he would just wear a diaper because he likes to drink and he wouldn't want to get out of the pit and he'd just piss himself. So this is that. Somebody fucking made that.
Wow.
And there's a website and everything. Here, I'm going to play the commercial for you just to prove to you that it's real.
The scariest place at a show isn't the mosh pit. It's the bathroom. Mile-long lines, slipping on pit, and toilets filled with puke. What's a music fan to do? Introducing the Pit Diaper from Liquid Death.
Well, they certainly are advertising to a target audience, aren't they?
The Pit Diaper.
It's very on brand for Liquid Death, though, because when they first started getting promoted and around here, they would sponsor like Warped Tour and like heavy metal tours and stuff. And like that was like the official sponsor of this, the official sponsor of that. They had a huge stage presence at these shows.
Okay.
So they are part of that world, that crew, that scene, I guess.
Well, this thing's getting press, so people are treating it like it's real.
And nobody's paying attention to the piss puck?
I know, our piss puck idea. Nobody paid attention. They went to this. You know what? I've been making shorts. Just made a new short about Michael Jackson.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, so if you guys want to go check out the new shorts that we're making on YouTube, there's one about Michael Jackson. He wanted to be Spiderman so bad in a movie that he actually tried to buy the rights. Go look at the short.
Not just the rights of Spider-Man. He tried to buy the entire complete entity of Marvel Comics.
Yeah. I think I'm going to make a short of the piss puck. We got to bring that one. That was like episode 15 or something. That was an old joke.
That's when we were really cranking them out, Bill.
You think anyone's listening right now going, oh, yeah, remember that episode?
Piss puck? Nobody. No.
Well, there you go. If you like to go to metal concerts, I'm too old for them now, but if you like to go to metal concerts and stand there in diapers, you got a piss puck. Not a piss puck, you got a pit diaper.
If you are old enough, you might just be incontinent. You can wear the pit diaper just sitting on the sofa if you can't hold yourself.
You'll look a hell of a lot cooler wearing that than standard Depends. Here's a story from, I don't even have where it's from. Sorry. I'm just plagiarizing, evidently. James Mangold, or Mangold. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah.
Says he was hurt when critics and audiences rejected Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Remember how unhappy we were with that movie?
Yes.
You never hear from the directors whether they were stung by the feedback. They usually stay silent. Yeah, he came out and said, no, I was hurt. Like, I remember when they announced this movie, and it's like, dude, all eyes on you, man. You got to make something really good here. So director James Mangold opened up about the mixed reception to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, acknowledging the difficulty of concluding the iconic franchise with Harrison Ford playing an older version of the beloved adventurer. Mangold explained that the film aimed to explore themes of aging and closure, but many fans struggled to accept an Indiana Jones in his 80s. Despite positive moments, such as the joy of working with Ford and crafting a story about life's inevitable endings, the movie fell short of expectations for some audiences who criticized new characters and narrative choices. So that's,
Well, first of all, the idea that there were mixed reviews would imply that there were positive reviews. I've read none.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any either. So I get what he's saying. He's like, I was going for this thing. We have a character. We wanted to try to grow the character, show. I'm just not sure some people just don't want things to change. I didn't want Indy to change, just like I don't want the Star Wars to change. I want it to be what I grew up on.
But it does sound like he knew they weren't going to make, this was the end of the Indiana Jones movies as we know them. So he was trying to bring closure. He was trying to show aging. He was trying to show why it's the end and build that into the story. But I don't know that it came across in the story that he wrote.
I don't know.
Or at least not what made the screen.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody wants that. I think they just want their Indiana Jones to be Indiana Jones. You want to go back to the well sometimes because it's familiar.
And while it may be the last Indiana Jones movie, they are making this huge Indiana Jones video game, aren't they?
It's already out.
It is out.
I plan on downloading it. They're getting rave reviews for it.
That's what I hear, yeah. I knew there was a lot of excitement about it. So the character is going to go on, maybe not on the movie screen, but in other mediums.
Yeah. Yeah, I was sad that I watched it twice. I rarely watch movies twice, but I'm such an Indiana Jones fan. And I was like, I know this is good, but it's also not good. I couldn't quite figure out what went wrong with it. But after reading this, I'm like, yeah, I think maybe I'm just not interested in seeing an old, crabby Indiana Jones. Like, it makes sense that's where he would be in his life, but maybe you just don't show that to us.
Bill never watches television twice, but he will make an exception for Indiana Jones and She-Hulk.
Yeah, She-Hulk, yeah. I might make an exception for Mac and Me. I might watch that one again.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when a director is outspoken.
Yeah, I can't think of any other time where somebody came out and was just like, well, that's not true. I mean, I have heard it speaking of She-Hulk and other directors of smaller things, but never of big movies coming out and saying they're in defense of their project. And not in a blamey way. Usually it's just like, well, you just don't get it. You're the idiot. My story was fantastic. Right. You big dummy. Now this guy's like, oh, I'm sorry you felt that way. I really put a lot of work into it.
I'm hurt. Take your boatloads of money and wipe your tears. So thinking about, when you take an old iconic thing and you try to modernize it, here's a story. Malcolm in the Middle revival set at Disney Plus with Frankie Muniz, Bryan Cranston, Jane Kaczmarek. I never said her name out loud. Kaczmarek, the mom.
Yeah.
Returning. So it's coming back to Disney Plus.
I would hate it if they were just going to return it and not have those people connected. So the fact that they do. What about the kid that played Dewey? He probably still looks exactly the same.
Probably does. And there's the other brother nobody's thinking about.
Yeah, he was like the badass kid that was always getting in trouble.
Punky brother.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring him back. I wasn't that into him.
He's in jail. Just write that in there.
Disney Plus has announced a Malcolm in the Middle revival, bringing back original stars Frankie, Bryan, and Jane, created by Linwood Boomer. Oh, that's a great name. Linwood Boomer, who also helmed the original series. The revival will feature 4 episodes centered on Malcolm and his daughter being pulled into family chaos for Hal and Lois's 40th wedding anniversary. Disney-branded television expressed excitement about the return of the iconic and all the other babas. Then it goes on to explain, this is in line with what's happening elsewhere with Scrubs and Prison Break also seeing a revival show coming up.
So is this like a one-off revival, though? This isn't going to be like a series revival.
I guess it depends on how well it does.
But the fact that they're getting together for the 40th anniversary, is like the 40th anniversary going to be the last episode, or is this like a one-shot thing?
Yeah, it looks like it's a 4-episode thing.
Okay, so it's like a mini-series.
Yeah, mini-series. Well, you don't hear that word anymore. Mini-series.
No. Bryan Cranston's fantastic. I'll watch him do anything.
Got to admit, I'm going to watch this too.
Absolutely.
But will it be good, or will it, tarnish the legacy for us? Who knows?
I just loved how like milquetoast Hal was in that show. Like the mom was like so like overbearing and outspoken, and Hal was just like, hey,
yeah,
hey kids.
Yeah. he was like the biggest doofus of all the kids too.
He was. It was so good. All the characters in that show were really good.
I was surprised Frankie Muniz never got bigger. I know
he did that Liar Liar movie with him and Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
And all I remember about that movie was that the dyed in blue in the swimming pool. He looked like a Smurf.
Yeah.
That's all I remember him doing.
I remember that from the
But
trailer.
he got big into like car racing. He pulled like a, what was the kid from 90210?
Was it Luke Perry or Jason Priestley? Yeah.
Yeah, he got really big into like auto racing.
Right.
Not much on the screen.
Nah. I remember hearing he had a health scare.
He did with kidney issues, I believe.
Well, sounds like he's doing okay. He can go back to work.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
So make it funny as the first one. But then I'm also thinking, like, we talked last episode about Saturday Night Live and Bill Murray saying, well, the show's exactly the same, leading me to say, well, he's probably right. Our taste just changed. Will our taste be the same when this comes out, or will they have to adjust the show for modern audiences? I hope they don't. I hope they keep it exactly the way they did it.
I think it's different because it is a situational comedy and it's not ripped from the headlines like SNL is. They need one more thing to make this show flawless. They Might Be Giants needs to come back and do the soundtrack.
Yes, no, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. That had a good soundtrack. All right, you ready for my last story?
I am.
Do you know it was a slow news week, so you probably know what this story is. Because it was all over my feed.
I don't know. I've been busy shoveling shit, literally. I don't know if I kept up with the news.
Following Kraven the Hunter
Oh, Christ.
being
Okay.
released, Sony cancels Spider-Man villain spin-off universe.
The villain verse is dead. Yes, I did hear about this.
Yeah, Sony has officially ended its Spider-Man villain spin-off cinematic universe following the release of Kraven the Hunter, which is projected to perform poorly at the box office. Did it come out yet?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it did because I've already seen reviews online. The franchise, including films like Venom, Morbius, and Madam Web, faced criticism for low-quality storytelling and has incurred significant financial losses, exceeding $465 million in production costs. The studio will now focus on projects directly tied to Spider-Man, such as Tom Holland's upcoming Spider-Man 4, right? So I guess Sony's going to play ball with
Bring it back,
Disney,
yeah.
and work on the Disney camp, or in the Disney camp. Also, the Spider-Verse animated films, that's still owned by Sony, so they're
Yep.
going to keep on working on those. And a Spider Noir TV series starring Nicolas Cage.
As Spider Noir, who he played in the Spider-Verse.
You heard about that?
Yeah.
So it's going to be the animated
The black
yeah,
grayscale Spider-Man.
from
The
Spider-Verse.
detective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to see that?
Not really.
Not really. He was the most annoying character to me in that Spider-Verse.
Hopefully Nick Cage goes off the rails, though, and it makes it worth watching.
He's having a resurgence.
He is.
in many things that people are loving right now.
It
Good
all
for him.
started with that immense pressure of enormous talent.
I think you're right.
The immense weight of, what was it called?
Something like that
You know what I'm talking about.
with Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal, yeah. He was a meme. That's what it became. The meme generation caught on to it, watched the movie, and we're good to go.
Yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head some of the movies that because they're not movies that get on my radar for some reason, but they're interesting looking movies. He did that Renfield movie.
Yes.
That was a little over the top, but he's great at over the top.
That's his thing.
That's his thing.
wheelhouse. The only thing surprising about this story is that we all knew the villain verse was dead. The fact that they waited until after this shit movie came out, why? I mean, it made no difference. Was this
Yeah.
really going to salvage this? They kept delaying and pushing and screwing around with this movie for so long. It had no chance at being successful. This was dead in the water before this movie ever dropped.
You never hear about who's to blame over at Sony for this. Is it Amy Pascal? Right? Amy Pascal is basically the head of it all over there.
Yeah.
And when, remember the Sony hacks? Remember all those emails leaked? Like,
Sure.
She says some dopey shit. She doesn't always, it doesn't sound like she's the best captain to be making superhero movies, but maybe she's not the captain.
No.
Who's the captain letting this terrible crap come out?
Well, it's not James Gunn because he's handling the DC side of things. And his new project just dropped on HBO Max.
I haven't watched it yet.
What's it called? Creature
Creature
Commandos.
Yeah.
That's it. Animated animals.
Pretty much. It's Suicide Squad with monsters. And
Monsters, that's right.
I saw the trailer. I sent it to you. I was
Yeah,
like, this
I watched
the
it.
trailer dropped. We didn't even notice. Well, it's the start of his DCU universe.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? I know I said that on this show. Why start with that?
Yeah.
Superman trailer is going to drop any day now, but why did you start with Creature Commandos?
Way to lay a solid foundation there, James.
Yeah, it's a little shaky. I don't know. It did look like a great show.
We're building this house on sand, brother.
I don't know how they're going to deal with it over that. They're just going to brush it off, I know. But, right, the DCU is not the DCEU. So Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Aquaman, all the actors that they had, Wonder Woman, in Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Peacemaker's ending did have a cameo where Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa,
Yes.
did I say his name right? Right, he played the Flash and Aquaman. They
Yeah.
make a cameo at the end of Peacemaker, and they kind of make a joke. And then Peacemaker walks past them. Now Peacemaker's in this universe because they're making another Peacemaker.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a new Superman and a new Batman. How are they going to address, the fact that this guy lived in a universe with Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot?
I don't know.
They're just going to brush it off.
I make fun of Creature Commandos for being animated and everything. But if you'd have told me that X-Men 97 was going to be the next big X-Men mutant thing, I'd have made an asshole out of you then too. So prove me wrong, James Gunn.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm okay with having, you could have video games tell the story in the universe. You could have major motion pictures. You can have TV shows. I'm okay with you having cartoons also.
Sure.
No problem with that. But it better be good. This one doesn't look that good.
This better be the next Guardians of the Galaxy, buddy.
That's what he's banking on. So good luck, James. We are pulling for you. That is it.
That's it. All right, another one in the books. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you learned something about Nikola Tesla. I truly believe the world could have been a better place, or at least a different place, had we followed his lead. Not that I find birds at all romantically interesting, but that's his bag. But thanks again for listening. Again, stupid, strangely satisfying.
Strangely satisfying.
Tell a friend. We'll keep growing these numbers, and we'll talk to you next week.